special stickers in celebration of 125 years of racing and 200 Formula One Grand Prix are coming down. It has not been a happy Grand Prix Sunday for Mercedes. They started on pole, didn't get any cars back into the points. It was just that kind of day. We got the long expected rain. We got it this morning, and it continued to come on and off throughout the day, finally with about 30 minutes to go until the race started. We knew we were going to have a wet race. It then just remained to be seen whether it would start behind the safety car or not, whether we would get a rolling start after a safety car, whether it would be a standing start for the first time after a safety car. As it was, 3-4 laps behind the safety car, and then Michael Masi decided we will have a standing start. First time in Formula One history that we went for it, and what a race we got. In the Grand Prix itself, just as in the day that led up to it, the rain came, the rain went. The rain came, the rain went, creating havoc and mayhem in the pits amongst strategists, drivers that we had expected to shine. The likes of Charles Leclerc crashed at the final corner out of the race. Nico Hulkenberg, who found himself in a podium place, finally crashed at the final corner out of the race, both of them bringing out safety cars. Lewis Hamilton crashed and broke the rule that they'd written specifically for what he did last year with the in. Wrong way, wrong side of the bollard. Gets a penalty for that. Drove too slow under the safety car, got a penalty for that. It was one of those days. It was one of those days in which the driver that won spun 360 and pitted 5 times. It was mega. Max Verstappen, your winner. The man who started last, Sebastian Vettel, P20 to P2. You could hear the whole grandstand going nuts. And the driver who came home in 3rd place. The driver who the race winner replaced and sent him into that downward spiral. The guy in 2nd place had dubbed a torpedo, who then he took it and embraced it and became the torpedo, made him stronger, who became a dad last night and gets a podium today. It was just that kind of a feel-good, awesome Grand Prix. Loved it.
Well, what special times you're living through, Mr. Kvyat?
Yes, it's an incredible moment in my life. Obviously, became a father last night, so it's number one. And the number 2 thing, obviously, today the race was incredible. First podium in my 2nd career, I would say. So I'm incredibly happy, but I worked hard to be here in this kind of race. It's not easy, and I managed everything very well. And together with the team, we made right calls. And I think we did a fantastic job, and we fully deserve this podium.
Absolutely, enjoy it.
Thank you.
What a race. So much to deal with. You had all the places to make up, the conditions as well. How did you see the race, and did you ever expect to be on the 2nd step of the podium?
To be honest, in these kind of races, you can't expect anything until the last couple of laps. So, I mean, I think I was like P8 or P10, 11 when the second last safety car came out or went in. It was crazy. So many decisions to make. Obviously, some were right, some were maybe not ideal in terms of timing. We lost a bit, but overall we stayed on track and we stayed in the race. And in mixed conditions, when it was starting to dry with the slicks, I really felt comfortable, and that's, I think, where we made up the most ground. With intermediates, it was a bit lazy to start, so it took a while, but quite a race. I enjoyed it.
Max, that was a masterclass. Every time you needed to be on a certain tyre, you were on it. How did you see the race? Talk me through it.
Well, of course, the start was not that amazing, but then, we just stayed very focused, followed the 2 Mercedes cars around. I just couldn't really get closer because of the dirt here. From there onwards, I think we always made the right choice on tyre, even though when we went the first time on slick tyres, I think mine were a bit hard, so I had a few moments, and of course I had my 360, but luckily we could just continue. And then we had to go back on the inters, and as soon as I was ahead of the Mercedes cars, then you could really see the pace I had, because I was just pulling away quite comfortably with saving tyres. So today was very good, and we stayed mostly out of trouble, so of course very happy to win here.
Is that a reflection of the performance of the car as well as your comfortable situation in the wet like that?
It's getting better. I mean, we are not at the same level yet, but of course in these tricky conditions sometimes you can get a bit more out of yourself.
It's in the changeable conditions and the upside down mad races that these guys, more often than not, come to the fore. And it's usually Sergio Perez who's there making the crazy strategy work. Not so today. The first driver out of the Grand Prix was Checo, as he just lost the car in the wet conditions in the opening couple of laps, put it in the wall, and he was just gutted, obviously, because what could have come to pass was another one of those crazy races, as it did, and one of those brilliant strategy calls from Bernie Collins that ultimately ended up seeing Lance Stroll take the lead of the race. He couldn't quite hold on for the podium. That flying Sebastian Vettel at the end, Max Verstappen obviously as well, just didn't quite have enough. Unlucky man. But he finished fourth. A great result for him, and once again proving, as he did when he got that podium all those years ago for Williams in the wacky race at Baku. You know, people give him a lot of stick, but when he's got his head down, he just can pull these races out because he can stay focused and be there when it counts. And he did it again today. P4 for Lance. Sergio absolutely gutted with the DNF, but really important points on a weekend when these guys had their new car, and today was really its first test.
You buying the round for the strategist this evening?
Yeah, I mean, we're going to have to review it, though. I think we pitted 5 times, so that wasn't part of the strategy. But, hey, we gave it a go today, and it worked out. I mean, it's never over until it's over.
Well, fourth is an incredible result, but do you think the podium was there? Could you have hung on?
Absolutely, it definitely was. I made an error on my second or third push lap on the slick tires. It was still a bit damp in turn 8, and I went wide over the green, and that's when Danny got right up into my gearbox and was able to overtake me down the main straight. So without that error, for sure, looking at our pace in the last 15-20 laps, it was neck and neck from the whole pack. At the end, looking at our pace, we were definitely in contention for the podium, but unfortunately it slipped away from us today. But all in all, we have to be really happy with fourth. I don't think we saw it coming halfway through the race, but like I said, it's never over until it's over. And yeah, I'd like to see some more wet races in the near future, because it's been a while since we had a wet race, and it definitely spices things up.
Tricky conditions out there today. Obviously, was it the right call to start the race when it did?
Yeah, I think it was the right call. It was just a stupid mistake from my side. I went through picking up the power. There was some aquaplaning on the rear. I lost it, and I just went to ice, couldn't recover from it. Big shame. I think we've lost a great opportunity to score good points for the team. So yeah, big apologies to everyone here and back in the factory, because we've done an incredible step. Just look forward for Hungary. Hopefully we can be stronger.
First time that we've had safety car start and then the reformation after the formation lap. How did you find it?
Yeah, I think that was good. It's good for the show, and conditions were tricky out there, but it's how it should be.
So a few journalists and broadcasters, we also get together before each race and have a little guess on who's going to finish where. Top 3 and then the lap for the first pit stop. I had Verstappen for the win, and that was as good as it got for me because I had Leclerc second, but I had Carlos Sainz third. I just had a really good feeling about him today, and he so nearly got there. P5 at the flag for Carlos, and a really solid race from him. Lando was looking good as well today. Ultimately car problems caught him out and put him out of the race. So yeah, a real story of kind of two halves for McLaren today, but Carlos got over his qualifying woes and had a brilliant Saturday, followed it up with an excellent Sunday, and nothing really that Lando could have done about the way in which his race ended.
Carlos, that was close. That was close. Was the podium there today, do you think?
Well, it's very easy to say now, no? When the last safety car, we were in the best position out of all the midfield. We were leading the midfield, and stopping for slick was probably a very risky decision. The ones that had nothing to lose, that were the ones at the back, pitted for the slick, and now they are in the podium. But we were in P5 at that point, and it was a very high risk reward situation that the team in the end decided not to take, which I backed them fully. But in the end it turned out to be the right decision, and it would have been an easy podium. But I insist every decision today was taken perfectly. I think even that one, it's very easy to say in hindsight, but it was a good day.
disappointing day in the office? A chance to sit with a strategist during the race? Not what every racing driver really wants.
No, not really. Especially because it looked a pretty fun race. The best of the season so far in terms of action and excitement and changeable conditions and so on. So yeah, it would have been nice to have one of those races this year. And I was in for half of the race, but ended too early. Got let down by a problem of some sort. I don't know yet. The guys are looking into it. So it's frustrating because it's been three races now, not in a row, but over the past few weekends where we've been let down by some failure or something happening out of my control and my engineer's control, and something we can affect basically. So annoying, but it happens. We have to move on to Budapest.
We have already heard then from Danny Kvyat, and just such lovely news that he's obviously became a dad last night, podium today, and boy does he deserve it. Actually, the whole team deserves it because they've just got their heads down, got on with the workload this year. Danny was so much to prove, but Alex Albon as well, one of the most impressive drivers of this first half of the season. That podium, I think, owing as much to his work as anybody and everybody's at the team. Ultimately, he came home P6. Just a brilliant day for Toro Rosso and richly deserved.
Alex, talk about battling hard. That was incredible to watch.
Yeah, it was good. I was a bit scared. Just learning the track, learning the car in the wet. Actually, I think the pace was pretty good, and I know we got a little bit fortunate with we pitted early, and well, not fortunate. I think we timed it right, and I was really excited being fourth, and I thought, oh my God, here we go. Unfortunately, we didn't pit late. Just got caught out with the changing to the dry tyres late, I think, and we got like 4 cars past us. So yeah. P6, to be honest, it's like a quite disappointing 6th because we were running up at the front, but still 6 is really good. And for the team, I think it was an amazing job by them. Strategy, everything. We bounced back from a difficult qualifying, and really exciting.
And if a certain Dr. Helmut Marko is watching, any words for him?
No, not yet. Not yet, to be honest. I want to see what happens with the incident, but we'll see.
Good day for Alfa Romeo with a brilliant start from Kimi Räikkönen. That wily old head on his shoulders knew exactly what was going on. Just flew through as Verstappen bogged down and fell back, and Kimi was right there, and you're like, this is going to be a good day. And it was great, and Giovinazzi was there, and Kimi was there for the whole thing. And Giovinazzi, we've seen him make some mistakes under pressure this year in changeable conditions, and he just kept it all together. Double point score for Alfa Romeo at the end of a brilliant day, and it will do so much for their championship challenge, their championship charge in that incredibly tight midfield battle.
Kimi, was that fun out there?
Sometimes, yeah, but I think it's just stressful for all the teams because if it would be one condition, it's fine. But when they keep changing and you try to stop right time, and is the rain coming or not, and put the right tires. So we made a few small mistakes on that, but we have to learn. We got some decent points, but for sure it's a bit disappointing because there was a lot of points today on the board.
Both Haas drivers in the points today, and a great job from the both of them. It had been a very up and down weekend for them, running Romain Grosjean back in that Melbourne spec car again, Kevin Magnussen with the latest upgrades to the Haas car. Had a horrible Friday. Absolutely nowhere in the high temperatures, whereas Romain Grosjean was really, really happy. In the cooler climes on Saturday morning, Kev looked great, Romain looked nowhere. Then came qualifying again. See you later. Kev down the bottom, Romain up near the top. In the Grand Prix today, though, it all just, one of those days, it all just kind of meshed together. And wouldn't you know it, they found each other racing each other, made contact again, as if they've not been warned enough about that, but they both brought it home. Both in the points. Where do they go now? What do they do on a weekend where they had so many ups and downs with 2 completely different cars? Have they got as many questions that still need answering? I guess we'll find out next time. But for now, both cars in the points. A really good day and a positive day for once for Haas.
Teammates, again, talk us through what was going on between you two.
Yeah. I won't comment that one if you don't mind. I think the most important is at the end we get the 2 cars in the points. There's certainly things we could have avoided. It was a very, very tricky race, and we ended up at one point putting the slicks at the worst time and had a bit of a spin and came back in, put the inters. I mean, it's great to score double point finishes. I think our race pace is not so good. Over the first few laps on new tires, I was just catching everyone thinking, oh, I'm faster than the Red Bull in front of me, that's amazing. And then we just melted the tires, and then it feels like it's just sliding, and couldn't really keep the 2 Alfa Romeo behind because they were too fast on the straight. So I was really trying hard. I guess it was a bit of a crazy race, and obviously when you see a midfield team on a podium, you're like, I wish it was us. But well, anyway, after all that period of tough time, having a ballpoint finish is very important for all the boys. Yes, there's some work to do. There's only the Williams, I believe, behind us, but we're going to get there.
A top 10 finish, but a crazy race. So where do you rate the performance today?
I think we did well to finish in the points with no pace, because I think we were really slow, and the team managed all the situations really well, and with strategy and tough decisions still got us into the points and had a double point finish. So that's very positive, and it was good fun as well. You know, all these changing conditions and going on dry tire in mixed conditions and wet, and yeah, it was tough.
In talking to him on Friday, Toto Wolff said, we've set karma up against ourselves this weekend, you know, with the special livery, with the 1950s clothes, with all of that kind of thing. 125 years, 200 Grand Prix, we've really, and we sponsored the race, Mercedes-Benz Grand Prix of Germany. We've made a rod for our own backs, and so it proved. Lewis Hamilton wasn't well all the way through the weekend. Suggestions either of a cold, a throat thing, or maybe something worse, maybe a bug, you know, like a stomach bug kind of thing happening to him. It wasn't his weekend, never really on it. Came home P11. Valtteri Bottas crashing out of the race as well. No points, quite incredibly, for the World Championship leaders.
Well, newsflash, Lewis Hamilton is a human after all.
Yeah, the illness brought me back to being a human.
Everything was thrown at you today. Was it just the weather playing a part, or other factors?
I don't know. It's a combination of a lot of things, but ultimately a really terrible, disastrous day. It had the potential for that when it started to rain. I thought I had it under control, and then it was really risky putting us out on slicks. And then after that, just went to pot.
You have a lovely habit of bouncing back stronger from these things, so does that mean a win in Hungary is on the cards?
I don't know. I've got to get healthy again. That's the biggest thing. Performing this weekend's been one of the hardest. So trying to get myself back in physical fitness, healthy again will be key.
That's a tough one, I imagine. How do you see the day? Talk me through it. There are no words, really.
Yeah, obviously extreme conditions, very variable, and every lap was different. Sometimes on the slicks, sometimes in the inters, and yeah, in the end, we were in a reasonable place. I was pushing hard for the podium, and I was told to push more, and so I did, and I went up. Is
that how you see it? Absolutely.
Yeah, I just lost it in turn one, lost the rear end. I was really pushing hard, so obviously my mistake.
Now, Williams, new car this weekend, new upgrades. Difficult to know really where they were because the drivers weren't massively happy after qualifying. But once again, at the end of a Grand Prix, they've got both cars home, which is a testament to both of their drivers. Could it have been better for them? Arguably, there were certain points during the race, and on a day like today, when anything can happen, that you sort of feel they might have. But given that they came home in P12 and P13, what can you say? They brought it to the finish once again. And honestly, with the team in its current guise, that is as good as they can hope for.
A tough day again for you guys, made worse by the rain, or was that potentially going to help you out?
It didn't really help. It was very slippery. We were struggling a lot. Probably everybody is struggling, but we probably even more. And it was a crazy race. In such conditions, the only thing you can do with our pace is to make sure you do as little mistakes or even no mistakes, which is so difficult. And this is what I think managed to do, and bring the car home, which is already a big challenge in this difficult condition. And after 9 years, the first race on wet, first time driving a racing car on wet. So not new experience, but a refreshed one. I forgot how difficult it might be.
Wrong tyres, wrong time, coming in when you should be out. Maybe talk me through it.
Yeah, pretty much. It felt like we was on exactly the wrong tyres at every single possibility, really. I wanted to box in that last safety car. I was ahead of Lance. I don't know why we didn't. And it turned out next thing he's pitted, and I look up at the board and he's in second place. I mean, I don't know if we would have been able to hold on to a top 10, but we definitely would have been in the top 3-4 for a little bit if we did that. But that's how it is. Not ideal for anyone out there.
Quite literally hanging on, George.
Literally. A bit frustrated.
Now, while it was, of course, a great day for Max Verstappen as race winner, not such a hot day for Pierre Gasly. Again, just not quite that same confidence, that same comfort with the car in the changeable conditions today as his teammate. Was looking fighty at the end, though, but ultimately defensive driving of stablemate at Toro Rosso, Alex Albon, saw him lose his front wing, cut his front left tyre, and retire from the Grand Prix. Ultimately classified, but pretty much a DNF, and a disappointing end to a day that had looked not as promising as his teammate who won the race, but certainly not as bad as it turned out.
Pierre, no one can deny you weren't trying out there today. You had to give it everything. Unfortunately, it didn't pay off. Talk us through that move on Albon that didn't go quite to plan.
I think it was quite insane, crazy race. From inside, we had like everything: wet inters, crashes, safety car, like pit stop within 2 pit stops in 5 laps. So, I mean, it was so many things happening, and I think got a bit unlucky a couple of times. Didn't go completely our way, but in the end, just disappointing not to be able to finish the race because there were clearly some opportunities.
Pieces of the puzzle being taken apart down here at Renault. Shortly after, the race all came apart as well. It was looking not too bad. It was looking really good. Ricciardo and Hulkenberg both looking racy, both looking competitive. Ricciardo, one of the early DNFs as his car gave out on him, plumes of smoke coming from the back, but then Nico Hulkenberg found himself in a podium fighting position at home, and of course commentator's curse jinxed it. Hulkenberg lost the positions in a fight with Mercedes, and then whilst pushing through that final corner once again lost the car straight in over the ice rink and into the barriers. A really disappointing end to what had looked to be a really good race.
Nico, your body language said it all. What were the words that were going through your mind at that point?
I don't know. It's just, I don't know what to say. It's just fantastic effort, fantastic race up to that point from the team, from myself, and then I lost the car for one moment, but in the wrong corner. In turn 16, the tarmac next to the normal track is not the normal asphalt, it's some sort of ice skating track. And once I was there, I couldn't control the car. I was just more accelerating rather than decelerating, and obviously you saw the result. I slid into the wall, but it's hard to swallow. Sorry for the team, because we deserve this. The team did a great job, especially today in the race with strategy and everything. It was all good up to that point, but you have to do all the laps, I guess.
Drivers obviously should be punished perhaps if they leave the track, but do you think that drag strip actually is in the wrong place and should be reconsidered?
Yeah, I think definitely, and I think a few other colleagues had similar issues there, and I think it will be a discussion point because usually we are safety concerned, etc., but that's not even about safety. That's just silly, to have a completely different tarmac. I mean, that's the dragster racing strip there, from Hockenheim. But in the dry, it's fine. It's the usual grip. But in the wet, it just became. I mean, it was insane. And basically, yes, I shouldn't lose the car, I shouldn't go next to the track, but any other corner, any other track, you go off and you go back on and nothing happened. But today it cost us a big result.
Daniel, we've been waiting for you. Supposedly an exhaust.
You're giving me beef?
No, not at all.
I'll hook you up.
No. Supposedly an exhaust issue. Is that actually what happened?
Yeah, it's exhaust failure. So everything else seems okay. So nothing with the engine, but yeah, I could see it a little bit in the cockpit, and then I looked out the mirror, and I could see a lot of smoke from the exhaust. So shame, because I was watching the rest of the race, and it looked. As a spectator, it looked fun, and I would have loved to have stayed out there. I think there would have been a lot of opportunities today. So, yeah, obviously frustrated with that. But, it was... I don't want to say it was fun to watch because I wanted to be there, but from a spectator's point of view, it was a pretty exciting race.
You have, of course, already heard from Sebastian Vettel, second place today, and absolutely brilliant. Of course, qualifying hadn't gone Charles Leclerc's way either with that issue for him, starting 10th in the Grand Prix. He had a great run. Had a great race and was firing through, looking to fight for the podium and possibly even for the win. And as it turned out, of course, lost it down there at the final corner, skated over the drag strip and all of that rubber ice rink and into the barrier where the Mercedes-Benz advertising fell on top of the car. Of course it did. Not his day today.
Charles, how disappointing, but how much was your mistake exacerbated, made worse by the area around the track today?
I take the full responsibility of the mistake, but I have to admit that for me it's unacceptable to have such a tarmac after the curb, which is the dragster track. I think on the wet it's just undrivable and it makes it dangerous. I think I went on this tarmac at maybe 70 kph or something like this and lost the full control of the car, which should not happen on a Formula 1 track. So yeah, again, I take the full responsibility. It's not an excuse of my mistake, but this type of tarmac shouldn't be on a Formula 1 track.
And obviously a tricky weekend for you all. What confidence could you take away from the laps you were completing and how the car felt?
We were quick, then of course in qualifying things didn't go our way, and it's a shame for the team, but today they did everything right. Strategy was amazing. They put me in the position to fight for a win, and I put everything in the bin, so I feel sorry for them and for the fans that support us.
Now, believe it or not, folks, that's not it for the German Grand Prix. Alfa Romeo called to the stewards. Race start parameters, clutch, torque, data, anomalies would lead to the suggestion of maybe a wet start mapping having been put on the car for the race starts. The stewards have deliberated and have come back with a decision which elevates the Haas drivers into their positions of 7th and 8th, brings Lewis Hamilton up into P9 and gives Williams its first point of the year. Robert Kubica comes home in P10. Just when you thought this race couldn't get any more crazy, it just did. So there you go. That is the German Grand Prix. Mad. Loved it. Absolutely brilliant event. Can't wait for the next race, which is, of course, Hungary. We don't know if we're going to come back here to the German Grand Prix, but if this is the last one, what a belter to go out on.